Hey everyone, welcome back to Apex Ascend, where we teach lions how to rise and roar. I'm your host today, Rodney LaBruce, and I'm hoping you are having a wonderful week. Looking forward to a great weekend. So I wanted to close the week out by talking about what's been in the news, and that is tariffs. Are there tariffs? Are there not tariffs? Do we have them? Are they going away? I don't know. Kind of depends on which way the wind's blowing inside of President Trump's mind on any given day. And trust me, there's a whole lot of room up there in that little head of his to have some wind blowing around. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. So don't go anywhere. I know for some of you, this might bore you to death, but I think it's something that's really, really, really important for us to share with you and something important for you to kind of grasp for a couple of reasons and a couple of reasons that we'll talk about. But first, I wanted to jump off and kind of start with the basics and kind of talk about what tariffs essentially are. So, a tariff is a tax. The tariff is a tax. And it's a tax that is imposed on imported goods. So, goods that are coming into the United States from other countries. There's a tax on those. So let's say, for instance, country A places a tariff on products from country B. What that's going to do is it's going to increase the cost of those products for consumers in country A. And what's the goal of putting a tariff on country B, let's say? Well, countries usually use tariffs for three different reasons. One, they want to kind of encourage their people to buy more domestic products. Two, it's another way to generate revenue for that country. And three, countries use these tariffs to send political messages to other countries. And sometimes countries may use all or may use tariffs for all three of these reasons. But here's the kicker. While tariffs are aimed at foreign producers, it's actually the domestic consumers and businesses who end up footing the bill for that tariff, for that tax. So, for instance, let's take a look at clothing, for example. If the United States imposes a 10% tariff on t shirts imported from China, a shirt that originally cost $10 is now going to cost $11 because of that 10% or $1 increase in this example. So that extra dollar, it doesn't come from China. China doesn't pay that extra dollar. It comes out of your pocket when you go to the store, shell out your hard-earned money for that t-shirt that used to be cheaper, now isn't because of the increased tariffs. So let me say it a different way. And this is reason number one why it matters knowing what tariffs are. It's simply because it's going to impact everybody. So imagine, and I want to kind of give you this illustration to kind of grasp the impact on tariffs. Imagine, if you will, there's a family of four. And this family of four, their house represents their country. And the dad is the president, as dads are. We rule everything, don't we? So one day in this country, in this family, dad announces a bold new family policy. So dad, in his infinite wisdom, he decides that he's going to place a $5 tariff on all pizza deliveries. Anytime a member of the family, a member of the household, a member of the country orders out for pizza, it's going to cost them $5 more than it had in the past. So he says that he's doing this to kind of encourage his family to, instead of buying out, to kind of make pizza at home. They have the ingredients, they have the expertise, they know how to do it. So why not just do it? But here's the twist: the delivery guy doesn't pay the extra $5. The Pizza Hut, Domino's, they don't pay the extra $5. The family does. So every time they order a pizza, it's going to cost them more. Fine, that's okay. They come to accept it. They come to deal with this new reality. But here's another surprise: the dad, the patriarch of the family, he decides that he wants to go a little bit further. He wants to do more. So now he says that he's going to place a $5 tariff on every product coming into the house. Doesn't matter where it comes from: pizza, the grocery store, it doesn't matter. It all gets charged this $5 tariff. Now, that everything's going to cost more, that means that when they go to make that pizza that they are going to do themselves, the ingredients, the cheese, is going to cost more. The sauce is going to cost more. All the ingredients that goes into making that pizza is all going to cost more now, because instead of just tariffing the pizza delivery guy, this genius decides to tariff everybody. And at the end of the day, he stands there proud at the door looking out and says, "We're winning." When in actuality, they're just paying more for the stuff they needed in the first place. So that's kind of what tariffs are in a nutshell. So I'll ask you again: who is it that pays for those tariffs? Not China, not Iran, not any of these other countries. It's going to be you and me. We foot the bill. We pay for tariffs. We pay the tax. But when you look at it like that, there are those in the low income sector of our country who will pay a larger portion of their income to this tax, because they're buying clothes, they're buying things that are coming in from other countries. So whenever they buy something, the tax is going to be a percentage for everybody and on everything. So they don't pay less because they make less. We don't pay more because we make more. Everybody pays the same. So they are going to be paying a larger portion of their income on extra tariffs. So while the tariffs might sound like a strategic move to kind of protect domestic industries like steel, aluminum, they often end up being a tax on consumers, and especially those consumers who can least afford it. I heard just today the press secretary say that Trump's goal when it comes to the tariffs is to use the money from the tariffs to pay down the national debt. So, yeah, if he puts a 10% tariff on, let's say, China, we know that it's more than that, a lot more. But let's say he puts a 10% tariff on China. When China sells a product to a consumer in the United States, that consumer is going to pay the extra 10%, and that 10% goes directly to the federal government. And I heard the press secretary say today what Trump has already said, which is, I think he was asked how he plans to use the extra money from these tariffs. And he said that one of the ways that he's going to use the money coming in from these tariffs is to pay down the national debt. So if Low income individuals are paying a larger proportion of their income towards these taxes. It's them who are going to be lowering the national debt. You got to look at it like that. It's you, if you're paying, buying anything, you're the ones who are paying the extra tax, as if you're not taxed enough, as if those who are making the most don't have enough loopholes built into the system to avoid taxes already. They're avoiding this too by not paying as much as everybody else. And here's something people don't understand when you look at the tariffs and you look at the wishy-washiness of it all. One day, tariff, everybody. Next day, we're going to pause it for a little bit. There's no consistency. And one thing, when you look at the market, when you look at the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, and you see how it's just tanking right now, one thing that the market cannot handle is instability. It can handle bad news, but it cannot handle instability. If you tell businesses that, hey, we're going to tax you more, you're not going to like it, but we're going to tax you more. Well, at least they can plan for it, they can adjust for it. But when you're Trump and one day you're raging about China and the next day you're having a dinner at Mar-a-Lago with the president of China, and businesses don't know how to take that because they don't know what the rules are. Keep changing them. So when markets don't know the rules, money freezes up, investments stall, stock prices tumble, things are volatile, all because the market does not know what rules we're going to be playing by. I know that one of the things that Trump wants from these tariffs, I suppose, is to bring production back to the United States. Well, companies are going to be leery. They're not going to build factories in the United States because of a tariff, because they're not sure if that tariff is going to be there tomorrow. So why put all of this investment? Why put all this money into building a factory in Wisconsin or whatever? Because today there's a tariff in the home country, in another country. You can't avoid those tariffs by building things here because you are not sure that those tariffs are going to be there tomorrow. And if they remove the tariffs tomorrow, you wasted all this money by building factories here today. So these companies are kind of in between a rock and a hard place because they don't know what to do, and the market is showing that. So I kind of want to now go to reason number two. Reason number wait before I go there. This I heard this song and it kind of really demonstrates exactly how I feel right now when I think about Trump and his tariffs.
Chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, bam, 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 bam. Chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, bam, 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 bam. He's got a helmet on and he's wearing overalls, and don't that lady look surprised? Yeah, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, bam, 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 bam.
Okay, I thought that was the funniest thing. What does it have to do with this? I don't know. I just wanted to play it because that's what I envisioned when I envisioned Trump in the White House in the Oval Office coming up with this stuff. That's all. So here's okay. Let's bring it back. So here's reason number two why it's important for you to know about what's going on with these tariffs, because it shows us one more way how Trump is absolutely disregarding the law. Because is it even legal for Trump to impose all these tariffs on all of these countries? So when you look at the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution, it explicitly, I mean, without even question, it gives the Congress the power to regulate tariffs, not the president. Congress has the power to regulate tariffs. And here's what it says in the Constitution. It says the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. And then it goes further to say to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. So in this context, duties and imposts includes tariffs. And taxes are those are taxes on imported goods. So Congress has the power to regulate commerce and with foreign nations. So they have the power of the tariff, not the president of the United States. So with me saying that, I also got to say this. Over the years, Congress has delegated some of this authority to the executive branch through laws like the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 and the Trade Act of 1974. But let me tell you what those are supposed to do. So, Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, it allows the president to impose tariffs if imports are deemed a threat to national security. All right. So keep that in mind. Congress, they have the power of the tariff, but Congress has given the president some power under limited situations. One of those is if those imports are deemed a threat to national security. All right. Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. It allows the president to provide direction to the U.S. Trade Representative to investigate and respond to unfair trade practices by other countries. The key word is investigate. So, this Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974 authorizes action if unfair trade practices are confirmed. So in 2017, there was an investigation by the U.S. Trade Representative on China and China alone. And that led to tariffs way back then in Trump's first administration. But now in the news, I know you heard about tariffs being placed on everybody, right? Other than China or including China. But essentially, every country in the entire world has a tariff placed on them by President Trump. Section 301 of the Trade Act 1974 says that there has to be an investigation with confirmed cases of unfair trade practices. There has been no confirmed investigations on any other country other than China. So there's another act called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And that lets the president regulate commerce after declaring a national emergency related to an external threat. So now I ask you, when you look at all these tariffs, one, are they being placed on all these countries because there's a national security uh, issue surrounding them? Two, was there any sort of investigation by the U.S. Trade Representative? And did that investigation confirm unfair trade practices? No? Okay. What about three? Um, was there a national emergency that's related to an external threat from one of these countries? No, you say? Oh, okay. Well, then these are the three exceptions to Congress having exclusive rights to the tariff. So if none of these three apply, then it is absolutely illegal for Trump to be imposing tariffs as he is today. Under any of these acts, the only tariff that he has control over is that with China. Okay. That's it. None. So all these blanket tariffs that he's put on the entire world shouldn't be there because it's illegal for him to do it. There's no national security risk from China, from Canada, from France, South Korea. These are all our allies. They are not hostile nations. So what's the real concern? What are we really trying to fix? So when all of this is going on, all of these tariffs, and I know he had a 90-day pause announced Wednesday or so. As a man, and this is off topic, but he sent out a tweet, I think on Tuesday, saying that now is a great time to buy stocks. And then all of a sudden, on Wednesday, the following day, he announces the pause on these tariffs, and the stock market shot up. And guess who made $304 billion that day? All of his billionaire buddies. So your 401k may have went up enough to buy you a sandwich, but the real players got the real bank. So what does all this mean for China? What are they doing? Are they scared? This tit for tat uh, kind of trade tariff war that we got going on. How are they? Are they panicking? What's going on with them? Well, they're not panicking at all because they've already made some pretty smart moves already. They started trading more with other countries so they weren't so dependent on the United States. They already, I mean, this has been years in the making. They've already stockpiled important resources like rare minerals and that are needed to make electronics and for defense and all these things. They built up their own factories so that they could produce more instead of relying on imports. And they even did something that seemed kind of crazy. They weakened their own currency on purpose. That may sound bad, but it made their products cheaper to buy overseas. And that way, it could still be competitive with these tariffs. So while Trump was busy posting threats on Twitter or X, whatever it's called, China was busy signing new trade deals with Europe and Africa and Latin America. In other words, they had a plan. They were ready for it. So the guy who wrote the art of the deal kind of got played. Well, he didn't really write it. His ghost writer wrote it, but he still got played. China's playing chess where Trump's playing hungry, hungry hippos. And I don't think that's going to work out for him. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work out for us either, unless he changes his stance. And here's the real issue. China, a long time ago, realized that America's biggest weakness isn't trade, it's chaos. The more confusion and the more drama we create for ourselves, the easier it is for them to win. So all they got to do is just sit back and pick up the pieces as they fall. Pick up the pieces with all these foreign nations upset at the United States, no longer wanting to do business with us, needing somewhere to go. Where are they going to go? China's there waiting with open arms. So where does that leave us, you and me? Well, honestly and unfortunately, it leaves us with higher prices. It leaves us with confused investors. It leads us with a global image of economic instability. Like we have no clue of what we're doing over here. But where tariffs can be a legitimate tool if it's used properly, but when it's used like this with no strategy, recklessly, it makes us look like clowns, one, but it's just not being smart. So in the end, the question isn't who pays the tariff. That's you and me. Who really pays the price for bad leadership?
Chimpanzee riding on a Segway.
That's the entire globe. So let me let you in on a little secret because people are right now concerned that Trump is somehow positioning himself to be president for another time to kind of extend this second term into a third term or possibly even a fourth term or more. So they're kind of worried about that. So let me just say a couple of things. One, there's no constitutional way for Trump to um, extend this into a third term. Can't do it constitutionally. But you know as well as I do, Trump is not concerned with the Constitution. So if he were to make some sort of move to extend his term, then it would be illegal. And that's when we have a real constitutional crisis where the courts can't stop him because who do the courts depend on to enforce their rulings? They depend on the FBI. They depend on the U.S. Marshals. All of these entities are under the DOJ, which is currently being run by Trump himself. So if he does try, it wouldn't be constitutional. If he does it anyway, then we have a whole set of problems that we didn't have before. But here's what I think is going to happen. This is how I see it playing out. I see it playing out to where in 2 years, actually next year, the Democrats flip both the House and the Senate, and I see it as there may be a small margin in the House, but I see an even larger margin of victory in the Senate. What that means for you and me is that if we win the House, we can move to impeach Trump. And then so it'll move over to the Senate. And I believe that in the Senate, we will have enough votes to whereas the last time we didn't, I think this time around, if it should happen again, that in the Senate, we'd have enough votes to actually impeach him and remove him from office. So that's what I see. I'm not, you know, saying that there are any indicators of this. I'm not saying that I've read anything, but in my gut, I feel that one, we're going to flip both the House and the Senate, and two, there is plenty, plenty enough reason to impeach him. It's what do you want to choose? Just pick one, and this could be one. The tariffs. This could be one. But there are plenty of reasons to impeach him. And I believe that in 2 years, Trump will be impeached and removed from office. And once that happens, once he is impeached and removed from office, everything else is open as far as every other criminal indictment that may be on its way. And this time, he's not going to be able to run out the clock on this stuff. This time, when he gets found guilty, not saying he's going to go to jail, but he's going to at least be having a bracelet around his ankle. So that's what I see. 2 years impeached, and after that, bracelet. All right. So no worries. So I want to thank you again for tuning in to Apex Ascend, where we rise above the noise and we speak truth, hopefully with clarity. If you can, I want you to share this episode and follow the podcast and let everybody that you can know about it. And if you've got questions or if you want to be featured on the show, just email me at rodney@labruceforcongress.com. And I invite you to just go to labruceforcongress.com anyway to kind of find out what's going on in our world, to catch up on the blogs that we have stored there just for you, and keep updated with what we have coming up because we do have some wonderful things about to take place. So until next time, stay sharp, stay grounded, and keep ascending. My name is Rodney LaBruce. I'll see you next time.